This is Chapter 10, Part 5, The Dark Side of Interpersonal Relationships. Now, unfortunately, this isn't going to be a fun Star Wars discussion or anything like that. This is, unfortunately, a very negative subject, but it's something that does need to at least be briefly addressed. Relationships don't always go as planned, and there are negative emotions and negative experiences that occur within interpersonal relationships. So we need to be aware of those things and how to deal with them. The main focus here is the dark side of romantic or intimate interpersonal relationships, and not just friendships or anything like that, though we can see elements of these in any relationships. But the main focus of your text was on those intimate relationships. So the first thing is jealousy. Jealousy is something that is a very common experience in a close relationship. And we have three types of jealousy, three different levels. You have cognitive jealousy, which is thinking about things that could happen between a romantic partner and someone else. So you see your romantic partner talking with someone else who is a potential threat to your relationship, someone who may be a competitor, and so you're thinking about all the things that could happen. That's cognitive jealousy. Emotional jealousy is wherever you see those situations occurring, the same one, and it's all the feelings associated with seeing that person interacting with your significant other. And the behavioral jealousy is how we actually act when we see those things. So three levels. They probably all occur, or sometimes they all occur, but sometimes we only get to one or two levels: cognitive, emotional, or behavioral. There are definitely times when we react negatively with jealousy. So the interactive responses include non-verbally expressing our displeasure, whether that's with a look, a sigh, some kind of physical aggressiveness, which is that second one, threatening violence or being violent actually, or being verbally aggressive, accusatory, voicing your suspicions and things along those lines. And then another negative expression of jealousy is withdrawing or withholding affection based on the simple idea that your partner could, in fact, be with someone else. But sometimes there is a positive way that we can express jealousy. And so they did at least take a moment to mention that here in the text. Positive integrative communication would be an attempt to work out your feelings with your partner, actually verbally expressing how something makes you feel, the worry that you have, the emotions that you feel when seeing someone interacting with others. Another thing that can make people jealous is the amount of time spent doing something else. So it may not be a person that makes us jealous, but maybe the amount of time that our spouse spends at work, or the amount of time that our significant other spends playing video games, or playing with the dog, or something else. But it's something that divides their attention away from us. And then the more serious thing to talk about is violence within relationships. Violence can be verbal abuse or emotional abuse. Of course, it could also be physical or sexual abuse. And none of those abuses are okay. All of them are negative. All of them with, and we'll address this again in a moment, all of them with the proper counseling and advisement can be overcome. But they're all things that we want to avoid if we can at all. There are warning signs to impending violence within relationships. And you can see them all listed here: belittling, insulting, or ignoring your significant other, talking down to them, be belittling, making them feel small. Um, this can quickly accelerate into something more aggressive, verbal abuse and the like. Controlling people, who they see, what they do, what they wear, even. Those are warning signs. Jealousy is a warning sign as a potential precursor to some form of violence. Reacting with anger when sexually frustrated, instead of talking about feelings associated with those things, acting out with anger. As we talked about when we discussed anger earlier in the semester, generally it's better to let those feelings cool off before they're discussed instead of actually acting out on them. And then that last one there is about the response to these warning signs. If someone was to have a partner that if they made them angry, uh, things got really bad. They got just to the verge of violence. So instead of doing anything to make that person angry, I'm going to change my life and the way I do things just to avoid that anger. Um, that ties really closely into that controlling element. In dealing with violence in relationships, of course, the textbook is going to go far more into this than I do, but there are, of course, things you need to realize that you're not the only person that's experienced this. It's not uncommon, unfortunately. Uh, and so, being that it happens a lot, there are lots of resources that are available to help someone out of that situation or to help them deal with it. Realize that it's not your fault if it happens to you, there is something else that's underlying. It's someone else's problem that now you have to accommodate or deal with or get away from. Plan for your safety. If it happens once, it's likely to happen again. That's just statistics. And so plans need to be put in place. Professional help needs to be sought out, which is that last one, that know that there are resources for help. As a student, pretty much whatever institution you are attending, there are resources readily available if they are necessary. All that has to be done is that you need to contact the school and say that this is what I'm dealing with, and there are resources that are available. I hope sincerely that none of you ever have to deal with that. But if it is the case, there is help. It's not on the PowerPoint, but I do like that your textbook also mentions the fact that that there's also help for those that are the abuser or are the violent ones. There's counseling that's out there. That it doesn't have to be the way things are, and that you can change it if you are the aggressor. And so I do applaud the author of the text for bringing that up, because oftentimes that side of things is overlooked.